Hello and welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brendan Savage, the coach of the Savage Turbos. Today is the final team reveal. Next week, the footy starts round zero. The round zero on the Sunday in Vegas. I'm so excited for it. If you haven't got your tickets yet to the non-Vegas party at the Star, hosted by the SuperCoach Daily Telegraph, get your tickets now. They're in the bio. Firstly, preseason challenge is this week. A lot of teams have named full strength sides and a lot of teams haven't. So we're going to see a final look at all these players before the season kicks off. But nonetheless, this is my final team reveal and we're going to get into it. I feel like I'm not far from what my final team is going to look like, but this is the final one I'm going to reveal as a video. Firstly, in my hooker spot, I've got Reece Robson at 561,000. Pretty much since our hooker podcast, I haven't changed him out. And I'm really excited about Reece Robson. 2023 was a down year considering. He averaged about 60 last year. We know in 2022 he scored a lot of tries. And I think with the Cowboys having a poor end to the year last year, they're going to start hot this year. So I'm really keen on Reece Robson and starting with him. I've got Jaden Brayley up as my reserve hooker at 330,000. News is he's battling a hamstring injury. I think I'll wait and see with him. Hopefully we hear more before round zero kicks off. So I've got my options open. But if he's out for round one, potentially downgrade to Joey Lussick or upgrade to Brandon Smith, just really depending on how that plays out. But I'm happy to keep him there. I think he's still going to make money at the price. The injury is a little bit of a concern, though. In my front row, I've got Joe Tarpanay and Terrell May. I've also got Xavier Willison and Sam Hughes. Joe Tarpanay had a blinder in the All-Stars, and I don't want to read too much into trial form because it is a bit misleading sometimes, but I think he'll really be relied on nice and early in the early on in the season for Canberra with Corey Horsburgh suspended. And a lot of Canberra's backs are really young. So I think he'll want to make a point. He'll want to step up. For sure, he's not locked into my side, but he's someone I've put in my side actually today, and I'm actually pretty happy about it. A lot of people are running cheap front row forwards. I think you've got to have one guy in there that you can rely on. Terrell May at 430,000. He could be that guy, but since he is playing on the bench, there is that risk that he plays less minutes than you expect him to, but I think he'll come on and make an impact like he did last year in the trial game. He made about 15 runs, 15 tackles, scored about 43 SuperCoach points, a lot of tackle busts and offloads. So hopefully we can rely on him early on in the season, especially with Warrior Hargraves out. I like Terrell May. On my bench, Xavier Willison and Sam Hughes. Xavier Willison had a blinder in the All-Stars once again. He is someone who probably comes in on the bench for Corey Jensen, who will be promoted to the starting side. Not someone I'm willing to play in my starting side, but someone I'm probably just going to leave there and hopefully jags a few tries early on in the season. We can upgrade him nice and quickly. Sam Hughes is someone we probably can rely on. Came off the bench on the weekend for the Bulldogs and he just looked really good. I think you can probably play him in your starting 17 if you are going cheap in the front row. It looks like the Bulldogs are going to rely on him early in the season, so I really like Sam Hughes as a play early on. He probably can be your front row number 2, which I really like about him. My second row, I've got Helam Lukey, Sean Lane, and Sean Bloor in my starting side. This is obviously pending team list. The team preseason trial team list that came out yesterday. I'm not too keen on Sean Bloor now that Kane Bradley was named at second row. So I'll reassess once team list hit. But I've got Sean Bloor there, and I can downgrade if need be. Helam Lukey, with the departure of Luciano Leilua today, Helam Lukey averages over 70 when he plays more than 60 minutes in the back row. So I think he is someone who I don't want to say the word must have, but he's a must. He's going to be one of the best mid-range purchases of the year, hands down. I'm so excited for Helam Lukey this year, and I think the Cowboys start hot. That's why I'm starting with Reece Robson. Helam Lukey is going to be the mid-ranger of the year, mark my words. Sean Lane at 446,000. He's the most owned second rower, so I don't really need to talk about him too much. Tupanua is on my bench at 398,000. I'm a bit scared off the Roosters back rowers because I think there's going to be a bit of a minute share there. But if Tupanua is named, he's in my side. He's a gun. He's an attacking weapon, and they go to him very often when he plays on the right. So I like him at the price. It's probably the best case scenario if Crichton and Wong aren't named in that side at all. But if that doesn't happen, I'm still keen if he gets the start because he at least gets 60 minutes. And with him, he's an attacking edge back rower. So when he gets the tries, that's when his price will bump up. And he is a try scorer. So it'll happen early if it does happen. Keenan Palasia and Jamin Salmon are also my backup second rowers. Palasia gets the start in the trial this week, which I'm very keen to watch on. I was really hoping they went this way, Fodawaker and Palasia to start with Tino at lock. Palasia is severely underpriced. He played about 5 games last year, 15 minutes, and scored about 15 points in each game. And every game he played over that, he scored about over 50 points. So I'm so keen on Keenan Palasia. Keenan. Yeah, I'm very excited to have Keenan Palasia in my side. He is dual front row and back row, so he is someone I can potentially move into my front row for a Terrell May or maybe in for Joe Tarpanay. It just depends. I need to see how he goes this weekend and how many minutes he plays, because if he plays 40 minutes, that's pretty much a good sign because that's the minimum I want him to play. Trials, they obviously play players for less minutes than they usually play, so I guess that's a massive watch. Jamin Salmon was named at lock to start this week at 317,000. He looked great. SuperCoach wise, he did a lot of ball distributing, so he might look better in NRL than he does for SuperCoach, but I think if he gets that start, he's the type of player who will get big minutes just because he's a bit of a smaller middle and he's not going to feel... He's fitter and can last longer. I guess that's the case. But at 317,000 in your back row, I think it's a no-brainer, especially if he gets good minutes. I really like the look of Jamin Salmon, and the trial just really convinced me that he's someone who could potentially get a lot of attacking stats with try assists and all that sort of stuff. In my halves, I've got Nicho Hynes and Braden Trindle. They've been locked into my side for a while. Nicho Hynes, highest SuperCoach price player in the competition. Braden Trindle averages 57 minus 2 games, which was the first 2 games after he got instated into that 5'8 spot. Averages 57 with Nicho Hynes in the side without goal kicking. So he's someone I'm very keen on. He got man of the match in the Indigenous versus All-Stars game. He's someone I'm very excited with. They have a nice early draw. So Braden Trindle, keep an eye out for him. The tricky thing is they have a bye in round 5. So with that, I've kind of got to just play it smart. Make sure I've got a plan in place for round 5 for when these guys are on the bye. My 5'8 is Dylan Brown and Kyle Flanagan. Kyle Flanagan, I like him as a player. He's always been a goal kicker though. So the trial on the weekend, he didn't impress me that much. I thought he was good, and I've always been someone who loves Kyle Flanagan, but he didn't, just the way he played, didn't get his hands on the ball too much. Looked like he just passed a lot, which is what his role is going to be. But if one of these Canberra cheapies do get named, I think I'll go Ethan Strange in there, or if KO Weeks is named at 5'8 instead of Ethan Strange, which looks to be what's going to happen, KO Weeks might go in there because I actually think KO Weeks looked pretty good. Dylan Brown, he's one of the most owned 5'8s in the competition at the moment. He's in for a breakout season, and I know he had a breakout season in 2022, but I think he goes one better. Valentine Holmes is my gun centre wing. I think with the lack of centre wing cheapies, I think we've got to go one of these gun players. He is someone who's a goal kicker, so that's a plus. That's with his goal kicking, he's a great goal kicker. So that's 8 to 12 points a game that you can rely on extra with him, plus the attacking upside. I think they're going to go to him very often. And as I said before, I'm so hot on the Cowboys early on. Dylan Lucas at 500,000 with dual center wing, second row. He's in my center wing. I think if he starts on that left edge, I don't want to say a no-brainer because there are a lot of people fighting for that spot. Kai Pearce-Paul is on the bench and he could potentially take minutes away from Dylan Lucas, but he looked good in the trials. He looked good late last year and he averaged about 64 in the 3 games he started, I'm pretty sure. So he is someone who, with the lack of cheapies, I'm not a massive fan of putting second rows in the center wing because I think it's a high upside position. But early on in the season, I think just having that security is so good. And the fact he's got a little bit of upside as well, it's just a bonus. Bronson Cherry and Ben Trebojevic are also my starting centers. They looked good in the trials. And they're going to get a starting position. If Cherry doesn't get named, we'll reassess, but I saw enough from him in the trials on the weekend. Ethan Strange, Kane Bradley, and Chevy Stewart are in my reserves now. This is where I could become unstuck. I've got 200K in the bank just in case things go pear-shaped. But if Ethan Strange gets named in the halves, I keep Kyle Flanagan at halfback at 5'8", and then that's a nice little rotation. Kane Bradley was named at edge back row, so if he gets that spot over Sean Bloor, I'll obviously have to sell Sean Bloor. So a lot of these, if things go a certain way for team lists, it could potentially go pear-shaped for me. But I've got that money in the bank as security to make sure I can go up or go down, just depending on who gets named. I just want to make sure I've got that security there because there are plenty of options that can come about. Chevy Stewart, I don't know if he's going to get the spot A, but I'm very keen on him if he does get named. We did an Instagram reel the other day. Timmy was very high on Chevy Stewart, and I am too because I think he's got the style of play that is very, very friendly for SuperCoach. And my fullbacks, they've stayed the same the whole time. Latrell Mitchell and James Tedesco. James Tedesco is the fittest he's ever been in a preseason, and a lot of quotes early on saying he wants to start fast. So I'm very excited on that. And Latrell Mitchell lost 8 kilos. He's the type of guy that steps up with hard draws as well. So one of the only goal-kicking fullbacks that there are available. So I'm very excited for these two. That's my final team reveal. We'll get Timmy's out very shortly before team list because I don't think he wants to give too much away, but at the same time, we're in the podcast industry. We've got to give as much away as we can. So cheers for tuning in, and we'll see you. Obviously, the NRL show wasn't on today. I'm in Broken Hill for work. We figured it probably wasn't best to do it this week over Zoom. You might have noticed yesterday in the SuperCoach episode that it wasn't as natural as it usually is. So I think our NRL show performs its best when we're in person. So we want to wait till next week. We'll get a preview show out and we'll do all our predictions for the season coming up. But I think that's it for this episode. So cheers for tuning in, and we'll see you team lists.